Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano, and I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is Pure Food and Wine. Pure Food and Wine, the restaurant in New York City. People keep asking me, Marcus, what happened to Pure Food and Wine? When they find out that it's closed, some people are in shock that it's closed. And some people are like, oh, I'm going to Pure Food and Wine this next week. I've heard you talk about it before. I'm like, sorry, but they are closed. So I've had numerous people ask me because they know that it was one of my favorite restaurants. I actually went and worked there, volunteered there for a week for free because I wanted to learn more raw food like 10 years ago, whatever. So I'd actually gone there and volunteered for free for the week, Monday through Friday, just so I could learn some new techniques on raw food. I knew a lot of the basics, but I wanted to advance, and instead of taking a course, I went and volunteered, which some chefs do that. They'll go volunteer in other kitchens, understanding that they can learn a lot. So, Pure Food and Wine, first of all, I want to explain that it is so hard to run a restaurant. A lot of people think that, oh, I can run a restaurant and this and that. There are so many different facets of a restaurant that make a restaurant business a very unique and highly detailed, highly trained qualifications to have a restaurant for an extended amount of time. I've been open for 13 years at Aroma Thyme. I gotta tell you, I had my worst winter yet. One of my worst winters. It wasn't one of my worst, but it was a bad winter. I had a bad year last year. One of the biggest things in the restaurant industry is, I noticed when I was there volunteering, Sarma was barely there. She walked in, she walked out, she was barely there. And it's so easy to lose focus. Now, maybe she was sitting in her office in her apartment, crunching numbers and doing all this and doing all that. I don't really know, so I can't say anything. But I got to tell you, in my observation, she didn't seem there and she didn't seem focused. You have to be extremely focused and detail orientated in the restaurant industry and understand ratios, numbers, accounting, turnover. You have to understand costs. Costs are through the roof. People say, oh, it's expensive there. The food they were using, they were buying, the food that gets wasted was extreme. It was massively extreme. So that food needed to cost that. And I don't think that food was probably priced high enough in certain cases, because it is super expensive to make food out of organic, raw ingredients. And then raw food is very different than cooked food, because raw food sometimes at the end of the day is garbage. You can't serve it the next day because it's live. It's aging. It's doing whatever it's doing. So once you ferment something, once you pickle something, once you make something raw, it's not going to have the same appeal the next day. And staff meal there was very plentiful. And staff meal I was like, wow, this is an awesome staff meal. So once you make their lasagna was great, by the way, their raw layered lasagna, but it wasn't good the next day because you had a pine nut cheese in there, you had fresh tomatoes that were pureed, you had fresh basil pesto. So what looked good that day didn't look good the next day, so that whole process needed to start over again. So yes, costs were through the roof on there. I understand that. My restaurant, my food cost is 35, 36%. I'm one of the highest in the industry, which means that for every dollar you give me, 35, 36 cents goes to the food. At most restaurants, 20 cents goes to the food, 25 cents goes to the food, okay? My restaurant is much higher than that because I use better ingredients, and it's hard for me to charge double the price if I'm paying double for the ingredients. It's hard to do that. Customers don't understand that, so you have to figure out, a balance. So, Sarma went through hard times. 2014, the restaurant closed. She owed money to employees. Goes into 2015, the restaurant opened and closed. And I saw this when this happened in 2014. And I was like, okay, she's done. That's it. She closed. She's done. She owes employees money. Then all of a sudden you see her out there soliciting investors. And I'm like, whoa. And I said this to many people. I said, you'd be stupid to give her money. Do not give this person money. I said that from what I've seen there and how she ran her operation. Great food, by the way. Great food, great concept, great theme, great service, fantastic. But from a business perspective, I'm like, she doesn't have a shot and she's not focused. And if anybody's stupid enough to give her money, then they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose. I said, that's a guarantee. I told many people this. It's a guarantee that you're gonna lose your money giving it to her. She's out there soliciting investors. I need to pay my staff, this and that. So all of a sudden, she reopens. So, mystery owner of upscale vegan restaurant popular with celebrity, vanishes without paying her staff. This is one from the Daily Mail, dailymail.co.uk. This is an article. Sarah Melangalis, 43, has not been seen since July, right before her restaurant Pure Food and Wine closed for the third time. This is written in October 2015. 3 times restaurants closed. Melangalis previously disappeared in January, but resurfaced and reopened her Manhattan Raw vegan restaurant in April with new investment. Stupid people. Oh my gosh. She's being sued by employees for back wages as well as by investors. The restaurant was a favorite spot for celebrities such as Woody Harrelson. Every time I went there, there was a celebrity there. Sharon Sarandon, Al Roker. There was every single time I went there, there was basically a celebrity there. It was great because it was. I loved it. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I just didn't think she was the right person to be doing this. Okay. And when she first opened the restaurant, it was with Matthew Kenny. Matthew Kenny is a fantastic chef, and if any of you follow Matthew Kenny, the guy is on fire right now, opening restaurants, these vegan raw food restaurants, cooked vegan restaurants all over. He has one in New York City called Double O, which is a dairy-free pizzeria. I'm super excited to go see that. I have not seen that yet. He has a place in Venice Beach, California. Miami, he has a place. In Maine, he has a place. I even believe in Thailand he was doing something. He had done or is doing something in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So the guy's on fire, very focused, very dedicated. I follow him on Facebook as well, and you can see, if you follow the two on Facebook, you could totally see the two differences in their focus and in their determination. And they were a couple when they first opened Pure Food and Wine. They broke up. Matthew Kenny left. Matthew Kenny had a couple hard times. He opened another restaurant in New York City. Didn't work out quite well. I was always a big fan of him, but he kept trying and he kept going, and he's really gotten to his niche. He has not only restaurants, but he has institutes. You can go learn raw food from him. You can learn the future of food, as he calls it, crafting the future of food. So it's really, really great. I'm very, very impressed and very happy. And if I got to tell you, if I were to go work for any other chef out there, Matthew Kenny would be the first place I would send a resume. Hands down, he's got my vote. I want to work for a chef. It's going to be you, Matthew Kenny. I don't care about Gordon Ramsay anymore, about all these big chefs. I want to work for somebody who's making a difference in the future of food and doing it in a top-class way. And I think Matthew Kenny is a fantastic, fantastic example of that. So, 2015, into 2015, Sarma is vanished. She's gone. And I was like, man, I knew it. So now, fast forward, May 12th, 2016, another article comes out. Raw food star Sarma Melangalis finally arrested after disappearing during wage lawsuit. Raw food restaurateur and fugitive Sarma Melangalis has finally been arrested about a year after disappearing in the midst of unpaid wage lawsuits at her hotspot restaurant Pure Food and Wine. Police arrested Sarma in a hotel in Tennessee with a man named Anthony Strangus, according to local newspaper News Messenger. First report I read that was her husband. I don't really know if she was married or not. She was wanted for a scheme to defraud, grand larceny, criminal tax fraud, and violation of labor law. Melangalis, well known for her role in the raw food movement, may no longer be a practicing vegan. Detectives found her and Strangus on Tuesday after they ordered pizza from a local Domino's. People had always asked that question about her, if she was truly, in fact, a raw vegan. I heard people always say, well, is she really? Is she really? And she always answered that question in a roundabout way. You know, well, I primarily eat that way is what I heard her say. And I wasn't really, you saw her eating out at a bunch of other restaurants. So I wasn't convinced that that was 100% the way of her lifestyle, which is by no means wrong or for me to judge her. But, you know, certain people wanted to know, and I always thought that she quite wasn't 100% vegan and 100% raw. No problem with it. She had a great restaurant, great mission. So, Pure Food and Wine opened in 2004 in Gramercy. 2004 is the same year that I opened, by the way. And it was one of the city's first raw food restaurants, but in the beginning of 2015, the staff said they weren't getting paid. All while Melangalis could not be reached. The staff staged multiple walkouts and protests, eventually unionizing and suing her for back wages. One of the restaurant investors also filed a lawsuit against Melangalis, claiming that she took $280,000 from the restaurant's account. Employees initially planned to reopen the restaurant without her, but they ultimately moved on. The restaurant, once a favorite of celebrities like Alec Baldwin, closed in July. Melangales and Strangis have been held in Sever County Jail. Update. Melangales and her husband, face up to 15 years in prison if found guilty on their crimes, according to the Brooklyn District Attorney. They're charged with stealing nearly $800,000 from 4 different investors, not paying employees more than $40,000, and avoiding more than $400,000 in sales tax. The couple instead spent nearly $2 million of company money on luxury watches, hotel rooms, and at casinos. Melangales in particular transferred more than $1.6 million from the restaurant into her personal accounts and spent more than $1 million of it at casinos in Connecticut. She spent another $80,000 at places like Rolex and $10,000 on Uber rides, according to the Brooklyn Eagle. Meanwhile, she told employees and investors that she was expanding and negotiating to sell the company to an investor. Like, I didn't see that happening. That, this kind of stuff happens all the time. Restaurants are extremely tough. It's just, when you get people like that, I noticed when I was there, like I called it when I was there, she's just not focused on this restaurant. And she had a great restaurant. She had a great business, what it seemed like. And people say, oh, Marcus, you got a great business, this and that. Don't cry the blues. It is so hard to have a restaurant anywhere to begin with. The costs of everything are astronomical. And there's several months of the year, like January, February, March, that I lose money. I lose my butt those months. And that's just what happens. But in the summertime, I make it up, and hopefully I can make up enough in the summertime to cover my winter months. I'm more of in a seasonal area. But you have to understand cash flow. You have to really, really understand cash flow and say, hey, I can't overspend even in July and August when it's good, because I have to make sure I have enough to go into the winter and this and that. And now, of course, in my restaurant, it's just me and my wife. I have no investors. We took our own money. We opened this restaurant with $50,000 in 2003, which is unheard of, by the way, $50,000 to open a restaurant. I have more than $50,000 in wine and liquor inventory as I'm speaking here right now. But we took that money and we kept reinvesting it back in, reinvesting it back in, reinvesting it back in. And we never took lavish vacations. My wife and I love to travel. We traveled to meet our mastermind group, which actually helps me in my business, and we go to cities all the time. We took our daughter away for her 16th birthday to Italy, but we stayed at all the vineyards that we do business with, so it wasn't like we were living the lavish lifestyle. I mean, could we have taken a lavish vacation? Absolutely. But it's just when you're dealing with the restaurant industry, things change like that. The cost of something goes up, and you're like, oh my gosh, what in the world am I going to do with this? I have to change my menu, I have to change my costs, I have to do something, this and that. The restaurant industry changes day by day. Another restaurant could open down the street from you and drain some of your business. The one thing about competition is when a new restaurant does open, so many people want to try that new restaurant out for the first 2 or 3 months. It's insane how they want to do that. It's like a new restaurant, everybody goes. And you'll notice, I notice with every single new restaurant that opens, in the first 2, 3, 4 months, my business drops because everybody else is trying that other restaurants. Now, when we opened in Ellenville in 2003, there were no other restaurants. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more restaurants, almost 6 more restaurants in our area that have opened. So that's like every other year, a new restaurant opening. So we notice it. People go to that restaurant, they flock to that restaurant, they'll go there, but then all of a sudden they find there and ease their way back to our restaurant, and then our business goes back up again. Then we fill up in that gap. So it's just not like you can have a good product anymore and good service to make it in the restaurant industry. It's so much more involved in that. The competition is so tough. The pricing structures, the food, I'm sure you've all experienced food that skyrockets. I'll have things that all of a sudden just double like that overnight, and it's like, oh my gosh, what in the world am I going to do? And the restaurant industry works on such tight margins to begin with. One of the first tests I do it's really not a test, it's an example, it's a learning experience for my staff. They come in, they work for me, I put 100 pennies out on the bar, and I go, okay, a customer gives Jamie and Marcus 100 pennies for whatever. They're buying something. Out of that 100 pennies that goes into the register, how many pennies does Jamie and Marcus take out of that to put in their pocket and say, we have made money, we've made a profit, we have money for ourselves? And it's funny because the staff, it's not funny, sometimes it's very sad because the staff will say, oh, 40 pennies goes in Jamie and Marcus's pocket. And I'm like, okay, food cost is 35%, Labor cost is 35, 30%, 28%. I go, so 70 cents out of that first dollar went to pay for the food and went to pay for you. They're like, oh, now how much of that 30 cents does Marcus and Jamie really have to put in their pocket? They're like, oh, 15. I'm like, rent, taxes, insurance, mortgage, you know, all that stuff. And I'm like, they're like, oh, ooh. I'm like, try 2 to 5 cents of that dollar that came out of a customer's pocket to go into our register actually goes into Jamie and Marcus's pocket. So every time that a glass drop in the breaks, every time we burn something, every time we comp something because we did something stupid, those 2 cents, those 5 cents actually gets shaved, right? We start shaving off of that. And that's extremely tough. When you lose all of a sudden 10% of your business, 20% of your business. In 2015, I wasn't focused on my restaurant here because I was opening another restaurant. So I had this is a well-oiled machine. This restaurant runs and runs and runs on itself. I'm able to travel and go to my mastermind meetings, the conferences, I'm able to take days off and go to my kids' sporting events. This restaurant is a well-oiled machine. It operates. And I can walk in and say, hey guys, I'm not going to be here for a couple days, and not have to worry about stressing my staff out because they know what to do. But in 2015, I was involved in another restaurant that didn't work out for me. The restaurant's still open. My arrangement didn't work. And I spent a lot of time at this restaurant, 6 months. I was losing focus here at my restaurant, at Aroma Thyme. My sales were down $40,000 last year. And going into this year, they were down $20,000 the first 2 months. That's a massive hit for me. I do $800,000 in sales. 40,000, it's like 5% down in sales. That's not good for me. I mean, it's like whoa, $40,000 extra would pay for a lot of things right now. So coming back into the beginning of this year, it was just, that trend was going. I was like, I can see the writing on the wall again. This is crazy. I totally refocused my direction here at the restaurant. Same theme, same everything, but my direction, my personal mission every day was so focused and focused and focused and focused that as of Mother's Day, I've surpassed my sales of last year now, because that focus and determination, but it's been all focus and determination here. I mean, it's been like I've been buckling down the hatches, and it's focus, go forward, go forward. How can I do this? How can I do this? I honestly, after reading these articles about Sarma and seeing her in the restaurant there, I didn't see her focus like that. Now, maybe she was in her office, in her apartment, doing a lot of things that the people couldn't see, or this or that. But I know a lot of people say, oh, no, she wasn't there when I was there. She wasn't there. You know, not expecting, I don't expect myself to be in my restaurant every single day, but the focus cannot be lost, you know. And I'm a small restaurant. She was a small restaurant. You know, there's only so many things you can leave up to managers to do. So many things you can leave up to staff to do. You still have to be the one. It's like with me and my kids, I still have to be the one that eats right in front of them. I still have to be the one that eats properly and the nutrition is proper, and I'm not the one who can't wager. And the same thing with my restaurant. I'm the one who can't wager. I have to be there setting examples, showing people what to do, showing that, hey, I'm here and I care about my business, and this is the way it runs. So that's what happened to Pure Food and Wine. She took everybody's money. She took the investors' money, and I said, nobody, please, nobody give her money, because you saw that she was looking for money. She's out there soliciting. I was like, please, nobody do this. You have no idea what you're doing if you give her money. That's the biggest mistake you can possibly do. So Summer Melagalis could be facing 15 years in prison after owning one of the most upscale, awesome, most posh, high raw food restaurants in the country. So that's too bad of an outcome. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.